A well-known liberal TV host or personality makes a public remark about Melania Trump, potentially mocking her or insulting her in some way. This comment could have occurred during an interview, live broadcast, or panel discussion. Often, such comments are politically charged or focus on Melania's role as First Lady, her personal style, or her public actions. The comment quickly gains traction, with social media users and political commentators weighing in. Supporters of Melania Trump and those aligned with her husband's political views may express outrage or disapproval. On the other hand, some may agree with the host's comment, fueling division and public debate. The former First Lady, Melania Trump, might respond either directly or indirectly to the insult. She could choose to issue a statement, give an interview, or remain silent, depending on her preference and strategy. In many scenarios, Donald Trump, the former president, could become involved in defending his wife. His response might involve a tweet, public speech, or other statements, often characteristically blunt and strong in tone. His response could focus on attacking the host's credibility, pointing out hypocrisy, or calling out perceived media bias. Depending on the severity of the comments and the response, there could be further fallout. This might involve more media coverage, public debate, or even consequences for the host or network involved. Critics and supporters alike would analyze the implications for the political and media landscape after Donald Trump's response. The liberal host may feel compelled to defend their original comment, either doubling down on their stance or attempting to clarify what they said. The host could issue a public apology, offer a counter-argument, or try to shift the focus to another issue. If the response is defensive, it could escalate the tension further, intensifying media attention. The incident will likely dominate news cycles for several days, if not longer. Different outlets, both liberal and conservative, will present their takes on the confrontation. Conservative outlets might focus on criticizing the host, while liberal ones may amplify the host's point of view, leading to an even broader debate about civility in political discourse and the role of media in shaping public opinion. The incident could have a political dimension if the insult was tied to specific political views or issues related to the Trump administration. It could serve as a talking point for political campaigns or influence public opinion. As the media storm unfolds, there may be polling conducted to gauge public opinion on the situation. Questions surrounding the propriety of the host's remarks, Trump's defense of his wife, and broader issues of political discourse might be included. A shift in public sentiment could affect future political dynamics, especially if it brings more focus to the personalities involved or the broader political environment. In some cases, the situation might take a more serious turn, with potential legal or professional consequences for the liberal host. If the comments were deemed to cross a legal or ethical line such as defamation, the host may face legal action from Melania Trump, Donald Trump, or their representatives. Professionally, the host could face internal consequences, such as suspension or termination from their network, depending on how their employer reacts to the fallout. In response to increasing pressure, the liberal host might issue a formal apology, either to Melania Trump directly or to their audience, in an attempt to smooth things over. However, if the backlash continues to escalate, the host may refuse to apologize or double down further, resulting in an intensification of attacks from either side of the political spectrum. This could keep the debate alive for longer, feeding into broader public discourse on political correctness, free speech, and personal attacks. As the incident continues to unfold, discussions around media bias may intensify. Trump's defenders could use the situation as an example of liberal media bias and hypocrisy, claiming that conservative figures and public figures like Melania are unfairly targeted. On the other hand, those critical of Trump's defense might see it as an overreaction or an attempt to stifle free speech, further deepening the political divide. If the timing of the incident aligns with an election cycle, it could have implications for political candidates. The dispute may be used by opponents of Trump or conservative candidates to draw attention to their positions on media freedom, civility, or political discourse. It could serve as a rallying cry for both supporters and detractors of the Trump family, affecting fundraising, voter turnout, and campaign messaging. If the incident garners significant attention and supports one side, It could also lead to a shift in public favor for one party or another. If the liberal host maintains their position, they might gain a boost in popularity among those who align with their viewpoint. Conversely, Trump's supporters may rally behind him more fiercely, resulting in increased public support or loyalty to the Trump family. The narrative might even fuel future debates on the role of media in shaping political outcomes. In some cases, if the liberal host is a prominent figure on a network or platform, advertisers and sponsors might get involved. If the comments made by the host are deemed controversial or offensive by certain brands, they may pull their support or suspend their advertising on the show. This could put financial pressure on the host or their network, forcing them to reassess their stance or the tone of their programming. Conversely, if the host's comments align with certain public sentiments, they might gain new sponsors or increased backing from like-minded companies. As the situation develops, media outlets or political opponents may look back at the host's previous remarks or actions for additional controversial statements. This might lead to a broader examination of the host's past behavior, resulting in a renewed debate over their credibility, political leanings, or overall conduct. This could either further alienate the host from certain audiences or rally their supporters, depending on the public's perception of the host's history. Social media platforms will likely play a key role in amplifying the incident. Tweets, Facebook posts, memes, and viral videos could extend the conversation, with people offering opinions, creating content, or mocking the situation. The engagement and virality of these posts may drive public sentiment, spread misinformation, or even mobilize online campaigns, either to support the host or to criticize them. Hashtags related to the incident could trend, drawing even more attention and fueling ongoing debate. The incident may also influence the broader public image of the Trump family. While Donald Trump's defense of Melania could be seen as an example of loyalty, it could also reflect negatively on his image if his response is seen as overly harsh or divisive. The way the family responds to the event and how they handle any further fallout could shape how the public perceives them going forward, especially in the context of future elections or political campaigns. Finally, the incident could have longer-lasting effects on the media landscape. It could spark broader conversations about the role of television hosts in political discourse, how far media outlets should go in criticizing public figures, and the responsibility of media personalities to adhere to ethical standards. These discussions could lead to changes in broadcasting practices, calls for reforms in media coverage of politicians and their families, and even public demand for new standards regarding how public figures are treated on air. The incident could serve to reinforce or challenge public trust in the media. For some viewers, the host's comments may reinforce negative perceptions of the media's bias or lack of objectivity. For others, it may serve as an example of how certain outlets push a particular political agenda, heightening feelings of distrust in mainstream media. These events could contribute to a larger narrative about fake news or the need for more impartial reporting, which might lead to a deeper divide in the public's opinion of news organizations. As the debate over the host's comments intensifies, there may be a focus on the role of political commentary and satire in shaping public discourse. Critics may argue that what was intended as satire or humor crossed a line into personal attack, while others may defend the host's right to free speech. This conversation could bring attention to the thin line between satire and insult in political media, especially in the age of social media, where everything can go viral and quickly become a point of contention. Depending on how the situation unfolds, the host's career could be impacted significantly. If the host faces public backlash or professional consequences from the network or advertisers, it might lead to a reevaluation of their future in media. However, in some cases, controversy can bolster a host's career, particularly if they gain supporters who view them as a victim of political correctness or media bias. The long-term effects on the host's career will depend on the public's reception and the network's stance. As the media narrative continues, counter-narratives may emerge in support of either the host or Melania Trump. In some cases, public figures, activists, or organizations might take to the media to defend the host's freedom of expression or to criticize Donald Trump's response. Others might align with Melania, Trump and criticize the host for perpetuating negativity or disrespect toward public figures. These contrasting narratives can serve to further polarize public opinion. The ongoing dispute could influence not only the media and the individuals involved but also the political climate as a whole. The controversy might become a flashpoint for discussions on civility, political correctness, and freedom of expression. It could even serve as a talking point for future political debates, with candidates from various parties weighing in on the issue to appeal to their bases. This could have long-term effects on the way political discourse is conducted, both in media and in public life. The incident could spark a wider examination of how political commentators and media personalities present their views. With so much attention on personal attacks and insults, the way hosts and pundits approach political discourse might be scrutinized more closely. It could lead to calls for more responsible or respectful political commentary, focusing on issues rather than personal attacks. This scrutiny could shape the future direction of political commentary, pushing hosts to rethink their approach to covering controversial topics. Advocacy groups, both for and against the host, could become more involved in the aftermath. Some organizations may rally in defense of Melania Trump, advocating for the protection of public figures from personal attacks. Others might support the host, emphasizing the importance of free speech and the role of media in holding political figures accountable. This could bring in a new layer of activism that focuses on defending political discourse and public figures, adding even more intensity to the situation. This incident may alter the way the public views the dynamics within political families. Donald Trump's public defense of his wife could be seen as a demonstration of loyalty, but it might also prompt deeper reflections on how families of public figures are treated by the media. Over time, there could be a growing conversation about how far media outlets should go in scrutinizing family members of political figures and whether their treatment is fair or appropriate. As social media platforms continue to play a dominant role in political discourse, the incident could highlight the growing power of online influencers and independent media creators. These new voices may reshape the conversation around the incident, offering counterpoints, engaging with the public, and pushing for changes in how traditional media approaches political discussions. This might further highlight the transition from traditional media to digital-first platforms and their growing influence in shaping public opinion. The situation could spark an industry-wide discussion about the ethics of political commentary. Should media outlets hold their hosts to higher standards of civility and respect for public figures, or is freedom of expression more important? This debate could lead to revisions in media guidelines, pressure on network executives to address controversial hosts, and calls for greater accountability in how political commentary is presented to the public. Calls for accountability and media reforms, activists, political commentators, and the public may call for more oversight of how media personalities engage in political discourse. Some might demand stricter ethical guidelines to prevent personal attacks or divisive rhetoric, while others might defend the importance of free speech and the role of satire. Networks might introduce more stringent policies regarding the tone of political commentary or impose consequences for crossing certain lines. Conversely, some may double down on their editorial style, seeing the controversy as a boost to their viewership or brand. It could result in a shift in the media's overall tone, either making it more cautious or more sensationalized. Depending on how the controversy is handled, the incident might also lead to legal or professional repercussions for the host or network involved. If the remarks made by the host are deemed defamatory or harmful to Melania Trump's reputation, there could be legal consequences. The Trump family or their representatives might pursue a defamation lawsuit or press for other legal actions, although this would depend on the specifics of the case and whether the comments crossed a legal threshold. Shifting public perception of political figures, how Melania Trump, Donald Trump, and the liberal host respond could influence their public image and how they are perceived politically. For example, Melania may emerge as a more sympathetic figure if the public perceives her as unfairly targeted. Conversely, the host's perceived sincerity or arrogance in handling the backlash could either enhance their credibility or erode their reputation. The event could contribute to the intensification of existing cultural and political divides. Both sides of the debate could become entrenched in their views, reinforcing polarization in society. Future political discourse might be even more divisive, with personal attacks and sensationalism becoming more common in the media. Over time, this controversy might inspire shifts in how political media is consumed. There could be a push for more independent platforms and alternative media outlets that present a different perspective or tone. Alternatively, traditional media outlets might face increased pressure to balance their programming and avoid escalating sensationalism, as audiences demand more responsible journalism. Ultimately, the end of this incident would likely leave a lasting impression on the public and media landscape, but the exact nature of the resolution would depend on how individuals, networks, and the public respond, whether through reconciliation, continued division, or changes in media practices. This type of controversy could have long-lasting effects on the way political figures, families, and commentators are treated in the public sphere. The larger implications could affect everything from political campaigns to the evolution of media ethics in a more polarized world.